In 2021, a woman named Lindsey Hill accused LA Dodgers pitcher Trevor Bauer of beating and sexually assaulting her. Here she is taking what appears to be a selfie video of her in bed with Trevor, looking quite jolly and not assaulted, but we'll get to that part later. Despite the fact that Lindsey Hill was denied a restraining order against Trevor and the DA's office opting not to bring criminal charges against Trevor Bauer, he was still suspended by the MLB for 194 games and then released. He's currently playing in Japan after no MLB teams would touch him thanks to this web of BS. Well, after 2 years of sabotage, lies, and the usual woke, feminist, Me Too, believe all women nonsense, the two parties have dropped their lawsuits against one another, and Trevor Bauer is finally allowed to address the situation and the dirty gold digger that ruined his MLB career. Here are some highlights.
Next victim, star pitcher for the Dodgers. A text Lindsey Hill sent to a friend before she ever even met me. "What should I steal?" she asked another, in reference to visiting my house for the first time. The answer? Take his money. So how might that work? "I'm going to his house Wednesday," she said. "I already have my hooks in. You know how I roll." Then, after the first time we met, "Net worth is 51 mil, she said. "Better secure the bag," was the response. But how is she going to do that? "Need daddy to choke me out," she said. "Being an absolute try to get in on his 51 million, read another text. Then, after the second time we met, former Padres pitcher Jacob Nix told her, "You got to get this bag." "I'll give you 50,000, Lindsey replied. Her AA sponsor asked her at one point, "Do you feel a tiny bit guilty?" "Not really," she replied. Since then, her legal team has approached me multiple times about coming to a financial settlement. But as I have done since day one, I refuse to pay her even a single cent. In August of 2021, Lindsey Hill's claims were heard in court. And during those legal proceedings, critical information was deliberately and unlawfully concealed from me and my legal team. Information like this video, which was taken by Lindsey Hill herself the morning after she claimed she was brutally attacked, emotionally traumatized, and desperate to get away from me. And now we have the metadata, so there can be no dispute. It was taken mere minutes before she left my house on the morning of May 16th, 2021, without my knowledge or consent, of course.
Yeah, those text messages were sent by Lindsey Hill to a friend before she even met Trevor. This calculated, thirsty, desperate, and morally depraved woman set out to ruin his life, his career, and line her dirty little pockets. She is an embarrassment to women and a slap in the face to real victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. But to give you a little more of a character background on this Lindsey Hill, here is a more recent video of her taken right here in Nashville, Tennessee. And as you can see, she's a daisy of a woman.
Me too.
No,
Actually,
you
need to go. You need to go. You need to go. You need to go, baby.
They're getting the sheriff.
No, actually, I'm sorry. It was in.
Hey, don't do that. Metro's coming.
Well, I want to make sure that nothing happens.
You can go. No, you can go.
And she drinks Bud Light. But girls like that aren't the only problem. The MLB sports writers, and specifically Commissioner Manfred, owe Trevor Bauer an apology. They railroaded him to appease the woke crowd, but also because he was a thorn in their side. Joining me now with her take is sports commentator and host of the Michele Tafoya podcast, Michele Tafoya. Michele, I saw you tweeted about this. This has been a hot topic in the sports world and the media world for the last couple of days. But interestingly, as OutKick has reported, all these sports writers that were so quick to judge Trevor Bauer, they are noticeably very silent now that the truth has come out. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's pretty typical, right? We in sports, you love to make these brash and bold statements and predictions. And when then they come wrong, it's crickets. And I think we're seeing the same thing. In fact, just before I came on with you, I was looking at this post in Yahoo Sports. And already, and this story is about 24 hours old. Already they've had to make clarifications and corrections on their story that were in favor of this woman and not in favor of Trevor Bauer. For instance, the original post also misstated that Bauer is in current litigation with 3 other women accusing him of sexual assault. They had to correct that. So journalism's gotten very lazy. And yes, this woman, Lindsey Hill, who went on prime time with Alex, is it Alex Jones or something last night? I can't remember his name. Alex Stein. I watched the entire interview. She's She seems to be an operator. She seems to understand exactly what she is in control of and not in control of. But for her to say she's finally rid of Trevor Bauer, I mean, what she did and what she claimed, he was never arrested. He's never been charged. And Major League Baseball just dumped him. And, you know, I thought we were supposed to stay out of people's bedrooms. Of course, real assault is real assault. But in this case, it does not appear to be legit. It appears to be something that was most consensual. If not, I'm wondering why she's still laying in his bed the following morning.
Yeah, those text messages, man, talking about securing the bag. He's worth $51 million. Got to get that.
Yeah.
Got to get choked out real good to get the money. I mean, those are damning. That's premeditated there. You can't get around that.
Yeah.
There just really is no way to get around it when you have calculated that before you even meet the guy. And this girl has a track record of this in the sports world. By the way, she is known within the sports world. When this all broke, there were other MLB players that said, we know of her because this is her game. This is her operation, and it's sick. And she's far from the only one. This is getting attention now, but there are so many that do this. They ruin somebody's lives. They take pleasure in it. They want money. They want fame. They want to pay out. It's disgusting. But, you know, a lot of people are wondering, how come she's able to now get away with this, though? And I'm not a legal expert, but it just seems like, first of all, I feel like the MLB should be sued by Trevor Bauer for what they did to him. Now that we have the evidence and the information, they made him untouchable because of this. And second of all, she has nothing. She's going on and, you know, she's so happy to move on with her life now. She ruined his life.
Yeah, no question. You know, his name was out there for everyone to see from the get-go. Her name, not until yesterday, right? So as far as I know, it was just she finally. So this is the problem with these allegations and people wanting us to believe all women. I'd love to, but women are capable of lying too. And it appears that this woman did. So we can't believe just all fill in the blank for the purposes of virtue signaling. We can't do that. We have to ask questions. And some of these sports journalists are just too lazy to do that. They accept what's out there. I mean, we've got countless stories that show how lazy sports journalists can be. And in this case, that's the case. The point is, he has never been charged. He has never been arrested in any of these things that he has supposedly committed that he claims were consensual. And if they were all consensual, then he's done nothing wrong and people are taking advantage of him. And as you said, ruined his career. I mean, he does not get back anything that he's lost. And here she is sitting here going on Alex Stein primetime, you know, all dressed up and trying to claim that she's just, you know, you don't know the half of it and you don't know what all went on. And maybe that's true. But then it's just so messy and it's just so wrong. And I agree with what Clay Travis said earlier. If you are going to accuse someone of something this serious, you should be held accountable if you have accused falsely. I think that needs to come into our legal system somehow, Tomi, because people's lives, Duke Lacrosse, we all go back to that one, can be ruined by this stuff.
So many examples. But then I also look at this. You're from the sports world. You understand this far better than I do. But it seems really interesting to me, the selective nature of this. There are pitchers in Major League Baseball right now who have done horrible things, who have been suspended for those things, but real domestic violence allegations that were real domestic violence situations, attacking their wives, bloodying their wives, and a lot of them return to the game. And that's not just in baseball, that's in football, that's in every professional sport, collegiate, what have you. So it seems really interesting to me how the leagues pick and choose who is untouchable and who they want to distance themselves from and who is good enough to be brought back after a little suspension and a slap on the wrist. I don't know how this works, and I'm wondering if you see any other dynamics at play.
Well, you know, this is a tripwire, but he's a white guy, right? Mm-hmm. And he fits that narrative of a white man doing something wrong. And I think it's, quite frankly, Tomi, I think that might be his undoing in this. I'm not sure. We are afraid, it seems to me, to hold everybody equal under the law in this country anymore. We see it in a million ways. And even when he did get reinstated into the league, which I think was several months, like back in December, the Dodgers refused to take him back. They didn't want the problem, right? They didn't want the baggage, I believe, that probably comes along with him. So he continues to play in Japan. Look, we've always talked about what happens in the bedroom should stay in the bedroom. She brought this out of the bedroom and into that video is so damning. She tried to explain that video, Tommy, by saying, well, my cousin knew I was at his house and I wanted to just kind of pretend like everything was okay, even though just a few hours earlier I'd been shaking and crying. If she was shaking, listen, far be it from me to put myself in her shoes. But if she was shaking and crying and really believed she had been sexually assaulted, she should have, and I would advise my daughter and anyone else to get the hell out of that place and go report it to the police immediately. That is not what happened. She took this video of herself. She showed him in it. I'm just, there's so much smoke and fog here. But the bottom line is she dropped her lawsuit and he was never charged or arrested in any of these instances. And I think that rich athletes are targets. We've seen it time and time again. Not every woman in the world is honest and pure and virtuous and telling the truth all the time. That is the lesson. You can't say a man is guilty of something and kick him out of a league until you know all the facts. And I don't think all the facts were known here.
They weren't. And he's actually been tweeting about this. Elon Musk even retweeting him, talking about how evidence was withheld. But I think it says a lot about Trevor Bauer, who, full disclosure, is an acquaintance of mine that I've known through this process. I also know his agent well, Rachel Luba. I've been talking to them for over a year now, wanting to talk about this. And they told me, we got to wait. But good for Trevor, because he didn't pay her. He wasn't going to pay her. And he wasn't going to just shut up either. He said, there's going to be no gag order here. I'm not just going to go away. I'm not just going to say, oh, yeah, we agreed and we're moving. No, he said, I don't care. I'm going to tell people what happened because it's my character that's been called into question here. So good for him for sticking to his guns and not paying this girl. This probably could have gone away a lot faster for him if he would have paid out. But I think he's setting a fantastic precedent here. And I also want to get your take on this as somebody who's been around athletes for your entire career. I think that there needs to be an educational seminar in the first day of spring training or the first day of whatever training process you're going into in any major league, anything, probably even at the collegiate level. There needs to be a seminar for these young men who think with the wrong body part and be like, okay, so when you're going on a date with a woman, there's some basic questions you should probably ask. There's probably some basic conduct Tommy, that you should follow.
They do this in the NFL. They have these rookie days and these rookie seminars in which some of these veterans come back and talk to these guys about their finances, about all of these, tripwires they may encounter early in their career and all the way through their career. That doesn't mean that every player plans wisely with his money or takes their advice. So, every player, I think most humans have this natural instinct to feel like, I got this. I know whom I can trust, yada, yada. And Trevor Bauer may have thought he could trust this girl because she'd been with, and she admitted this in her interview with Alex Stein. She admitted, I'd been around a lot of baseball players. I had dated a lot of baseball players. So you're right. This was kind of her operation, her next target, next victim, grab the bag, etc. What should I steal? And even if those texts are not totally contextualized, they're damning enough to suggest that she was just looking out for her own self-interest, looking for ways to make things happen for her. And that videotape is enough for me to say, if you are literally, and you didn't turn this over, and this is a videotape you are taking the day after what you said was something that left you shaking and crying, I'm inclined not to believe you. I'm sorry. I can't believe my lying eyes here.
Well, the good news is, I believe, I don't know this for certain, but I believe that she lives here in Nashville, Tennessee. And I can tell you this, Michele, the word has gone out. So she's going to have a hell of a time dating. She's going to have to maybe move to another state, maybe even another country, because ain't nobody touching that girl after this. So I hope she can get her 15 minutes of fame, look good for the cameras, because she's going to be untouchable, and for good reason. Thank you so much for breaking this down with me. As always, I certainly appreciate it.
Good to see you, Tom.
Thanks, Michelle. All right, folks, here is the takeaway from all of this. Women like Lindsey Hill are a dime a dozen. Cleat chasers and jersey chasers are crawling all over the professional sports world, sinking their dirty talons into whatever athlete they can dupe and attract. So yes, there is a bigger lesson here for athletes, celebrities, politicians, and all public figures, one that I live by. Do not mess with anyone who has nothing to lose.